All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wong Chat. I think we're on episode 35, 6, 7, 7, I believe. So it's fun. It's fun to count this and finally getting somewhere. And I'm having a lot of fun making this. And I hope you all enjoy watching and listening as well. As always, we are live on Twitch at twitch.tv/modernwongphoto. You can also watch us on YouTube, and you can also listen to this on major podcast platform like iTunes, or what's that one? Spotify. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I get to talk to my friends from different industry, a lot of gaming, a lot of cosplay, a lot of just everywhere. And tonight we get to talk to another voice actor, Mark Meer. I think it's Meer. I'll let him making sure I didn't get it wrong because I don't want to butcher it or anything. But yeah, he is a voice actor. You might have heard of him from a game called Mass Effect. And he is Commander Shepard. He's also a really awesome guy. I actually met him in New Zealand. So I'll just let him explain more. So yeah. What's up, Mark?
Hey, I'm Martin. Thanks for having me. And yes, you pronounced my name correctly, Mark Meer.
Here. Is it like, what's the origin of the last name?
Well, my dad's actually from South Africa, so it's actually, but he's of Indian extraction, so it's an Indian name. But there are Dutch people that also have the last name Meer.
Okay, all right.
Oddly enough.
Yeah. So how's quarantine so far for you?
Well, I have been painting a lot of miniatures and playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons on Zoom with my friends in the UK and New Zealand, actually. And I've been doing that twice a week in that particular campaign, and doing a bunch of other guest appearances in other people's RPG shows. I actually just did a show with Mass Effect Adventum, and they're actually do a Mass Effect role-playing game using the D20
Gotcha.
system. So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, it's been stuff on Zoom, the occasional improv show on Zoom. As a matter of fact, I'm doing one with Colin Mockery on from Whose Line Is It Anyway on Saturday.
That's
My theater
awesome.
company is we do a show called Improvised Dungeons and Dragons, which is, I know all Dungeons and Dragons is improvised, but this is specifically a comedy show. It's a comedy show with improvisers as the player characters, and I'm the dungeon master. So normally we do this on stage in full costume, like with all our weapons and everything like that. But for this online version, everyone will be from their own homes, including Colin. And most people will be wearing their costumes, or at least, from here up, they'll wear that much of their costume and make makeup and whatnot. And Colin, we usually rent a costume for him when he plays with us, but he'll probably use a blanket as a cloak or something. I'm sure it'll be something very inventive.
What about you? Are you dressing up for it?
Oh yeah, well now I'm the dungeon master, so I usually wear just something simple, black robes or whatnot. And in the normal show, we just sort of describe what I'm wearing if I'm turning into a different character or a monster or whatnot. Because I do what a dungeon master does in D&D. I play everyone, so I'm all the monsters, I'm all the townspeople, I'm all their mentors, the guys who give them their missions, all that sort of thing. So I do have a large collection of props and costumes, so I might have to bust some of them out at the show.
I see a bunch of masks behind you already, and those are pretty cool over there.
See?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I got some swords too, so I think I'm well set. I think I'll be fine.
Like, is it? How long have you been playing D&D? Even like maybe before you're doing a show or anything? Have you been doing D&D for a long time?
Yeah, I was playing Dungeons and Dragons long before I was acting. I started. Now I'm quite old, Martin. I should explain that. I'm very old. But I started playing in 1981, so back when it was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the first edition. And I about, let's see. I think it was
you look so young, though.
Well, thank you very much. It's the Dungeons and Dragons. It keeps me young. I usually credit Dungeons and Dragons as being the first acting I ever did, because we didn't have drama in my high school. I went to school in a very small town, so they didn't have a drama program. So Dungeons and Dragons was my first experience with acting, doing voices. The group that I played with, we'd often play for laughs. So as a dungeon master, I'd be doing things like making Barney Rubble the innkeeper, or throwing in other cartoon voices that I'd done before. And all the people I played with were fans of sketch comedy, like Monty Python and SCTV. So yeah, we tended to play for laughs, and it became sort of an improv comedy thing. And
Is it
then
hard though? Like, so I mean, does that really help you doing improv as well? Because you kind of have to think on the spot, especially like people have different idea what they want to do in the campaign, and you suddenly it's like, wait, that's not what you. I mean, okay, I guess you can do that, but I.
yeah, it's improvisation is an invaluable skill for a dungeon master to have. I mean, the lessons that improv teaches you can be applied to so many things. Like we often in my theater group, we teach corporate improv classes to like business people and just for team building and that sort of thing. So it
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
it doesn't just have to be on stage.
Hmm.
But specifically Dungeons and Dragons, the player characters can literally do anything. It's not like a video game where there are a set number of choices. You can do
Hmm.
whatever you want in Dungeons and Dragons because it is largely a game that's played in your imagination. So being able to immediately throw out any plans that you had for the adventure, and it's just, well, they don't want to go on the adventure. They want to open an inn, and it's like that's what the game's about now. It's opening an inn. So you have to go roll with the punches and go with the flow.
For all your D&D stuff that you're still doing right now, I know you say you're playing with friends, but have you? I'm not sure if you have already. If not, have you considered doing like a podcast or something like that, or a vodcast with it?
Well, I mean, seems increasingly attractive in these pandemic times, certainly.
Because we don't know how long this is gonna last, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Up to this point, I've largely been a guest on other people's streams, and
Hmm.
very nice of them to invite me. I always enjoy going in and dropping into campaigns, sometimes as an NPC, sometimes as a PC. For example, I got to play before the pandemic, play a fair bit with Geek and Sundry.
They're cool people.
Yes, exactly. And so some of their shows, so like the Vampire the Masquerade show, LA by Night, I played on that.
Hmm.
Eric Campbell had me as a sort of recurring character on Callisto 6, which was a cyberpunk superhero game that he was doing. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, so up to this point, I do like being a guest because that means I don't have to do any organizational work, and I can just sort of show up and play
Show
and
up and
have
do the
fun.
job. Yeah.
Yeah, show up, play, have fun, and then yeah, let someone else deal with the admin. Uh, and I do have to say that I love DMing as well. Like
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you know, I got to do D&D in a castle, which was what it sounds like. It's a company that's actually based
I
here in
heard about
Canada.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of big people in the D&D and RPG community, like Satine Phoenix and Stefan Picorni and other folks, they were involved as well. The Library Bards,
Uh-huh.
Bonnie and Xander, they actually had me as a guest at their castle, and it basically each group had their own castle in England, and people would sign up to come over, and we like for what, 4 or 5 days we would just play D&D nonstop. And then there were also activities like falconry and miniature painting workshops and all that. It was like going to an extra nerdy Hogwarts because you were living in a castle as well
So
during
do
this
they
whole time.
stay there as well? Like, is it like
Mhm.
a? How big was it?
I did a couple of different castles, and
Oh, several different castles. Okay.
yes, yeah, there were the company was running a few, and so each weekend was sort of like a separate thing. So I went to, as I say, I went to two of them, and each time my player group was about 6 people, and so it was a different group of people at each castle. And some of the dungeon masters went between castles. Some people could only commit to do 1 week, for example. But
Hmm.
I had some free time last summer, and so I got to do two, and it was great.
That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun. And as I say, it's nerd Valhalla, really, because what could be better than just sitting around and playing Dungeons and Dragons and when you're not playing Dungeons and Dragons, many other awesome activities. And you're doing it all in an actual English castle.
I have a question then. Like, how? So before you doing all this D&D stuff, I know you play all the time, but
Mhm.
did you go to school for acting, or like what was it like? Because your high school didn't have anything. Like,
No,
how does your life get to here?
I did not have any formal training for acting. I've had like quite a bit of training, but it's more with improv companies
Hmm.
and theater companies as opposed to going to an accredited institution.
Do you think it's
Almost all.
even necessary though? Because like for example, I'm a photographer. I feel like you don't need to go through photography or art school for it. But I mean, you can. It doesn't hurt, but it's not a necessity. That's how I see it.
Well, I mean, as someone who didn't do it, obviously, I'm going to say it's like, yeah, of course you don't need. But I know, I work with people who have had classical training, who've gone through, and they tend to be, the triple threat types who like sing, dance, act.
Mm,
Again, I came to it more through improv and comedy clubs, and then got into acting through that.
mm-hmm.
So I mean, there are many ways. There are many ways to approach it. Ultimately, it's what you think is going to serve you best. Obviously, the connections that you make just going to drama school, like sometimes that can be as important as the training that you receive. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the same when you're, say, going with improv troops and going to festivals and taking workshops. Again, sometimes the contacts you make are just as valuable as the
Actually,
training that
that's
you
what
take.
I have heard. I have heard from other like art students and photography students. They're saying like going to art school is more like paying a very expensive networking thing for like 3 years, and that's why,
Sure.
yeah,
That's true,
it does, yeah.
and I have many friends who are drama teachers and improv teachers, and there are certainly lessons to be learned in a more structured institutional setting, but that is not the path that I took personally.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yeah. So how? I know I'm gonna go jump right into it. So how did you got into doing Mass Effect stuff then?
Well, I was fortunate enough to live in Edmonton, where BioWare was based, and it still is based.
Mm-hmm,
And so before Mass Effect, this would have been back in the late '90s. Really, I got in on the
mm-hmm,
ground floor. I was lucky enough to get in on the ground floor back when BioWare was literally holding the old school cattle call auditions, where it's just, all right, everybody who wants to do some voice acting in a video game, show up at this studio, and we'll work through you all. And everybody, it's not that big a community acting wise, so you'll see everybody with
mm-hmm,
their sides go into the booth one at a time. And I was fortunate enough that they cast me in Baldur's Gate 2 on the strength of that audition, and I got one
mm-hmm.
line in the final cutscene of the game. So you had to complete 40-hour game before you got to my one line. And it's funny because I was actually, when the game came out, I was like, okay, I'm going to play this, get all the way through, and see my one line. And this was before there were like really clips of games posted on YouTube and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
There were some, but it was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
for
yeah.
this specific thing, it's hard to find. So I was playing all the way through it, and it's not that easy a game. Like it's a pretty hard tactical game, and I was playing on my roommate's computer, and just before I was getting to the end game, his computer crashed and
Oh
lost all my save
no.
files. And my roommate, he had stuff from work on there. He had like a couple of plays and a book he was working on there. So I couldn't say like, "Oh, hey, could you try to recover my save files?" That was not his concern. So I
Oh.
never actually saw my scene until years later when somebody posted it on YouTube.
Wow. Like, yeah, it's so different now because like now we have YouTube, we have Twitch. Like it's so easy to find clips, find any resources. But back then it's very different. Like you
It
really,
was,
yeah.
yeah.
And games were very different too. Like there's no DLC, there's no internet, so people just pretty much just play games and just go along with it until whatever.
There was an internet, but it was mostly message boards about Star Trek, and
Yeah. But it's still kind of beginning. It's still
no,
not,
it was
yeah.
there was an internet back then. I'm not that old, but so yes, your original question was how to get to Mass Effect. So basically, I get that one line in Baldur's Gate when they were doing all the Dungeons and Dragons games back then at BioWare. I think it was because I was a Dungeons and Dragons player, because they didn't have to explain Dungeons and Dragons to me. They could hand me a sheet and say, "This guy's a kobold shaman," and I wouldn't go, "What's a kobold? What's a shaman?" They would just go, "Great. He's lawful evil, probably." And yeah, so I worked on a lot of their games subsequently. In fact, almost everything that they put out. Like I did demo work on the original Knights of the Old Republic.
Ooh.
Yes, yeah, I did. I was actually the demo Carth Onasi, and Raphael Sabaraj actually ended up being cast in that. So years later, I made jokes at Mass Effect panels that it's like, well, that's why I killed Caden on Vermeer, because Raphael took that gig from me.
To my
But no,
job.
I knew I was just the demo version. And then for the most part, I was doing like monsters and random bad guys and whatnot. I did some work on Jade Empire, which was an earlier uh, martial arts Bioware game. There
Mm.
was many gigs after that with BioWare, and then when they started working on Mass Effect, before I was cast as Shepard, when everything was still in the concept art stages, I was brought in to essentially do a presentation on what the various alien races would sound like. So BioWare hired me they gave me a big stack of reference material, just detailing all the alien races, their biology and their culture.
And that is did they come with art, or is this all text and you have to imagine it?
No, there was some sample art as well, so I could see, this is what a Turian looks like, this is what an Asari looks like, this is what a Krogan looks like, and I came up with sort of an auditory presentation of this is what a baseline Krogan sounds like, this is what a Solarian sounds like, a typical member of their species, and some of it was very obvious, like the Krogans are huge, so they're going to have big, gruff voices, and not all of my suggestions were taken. Like I was just spitballing at this point, so some suggestions weren't necessarily taken. Like the Turians, because of the way their mouths were structured, I sort of pitched that they should have a sort of clicking sound when they talk, maybe before or after sentences. But this was before Garrus was actually in the game as a major party NPC. And they sort of went, well, if he's going to have that much dialogue, this clicking thing is probably going to get really old after a while. And I agree. I think it was the right choice. But some of my suggestions were taken, like the Volus. I suggested, again, not a huge leap to think that they would have this sort of wheezy sound when they talk because they wear that breathing apparatus. I always say that I'm the reason that Solarians kind of sound like Steve Buscemi, because that was the baseline. That was essentially who I was impersonating when I did my typical baseline Solarian. And actually, if you go look at some early Mass Effect demos, again, this was before a lot of people were cast, so they just had me do some demo stuff as Shepard and a Solarian bartender. And it's basically just a scene where I'm threatening myself. So I come in as Shepard and give me information, things like that. And the Solarian bartender's like, whoa, come down. Hey, what are you doing? So yeah, I think that stuff can be dug up if you look hard enough.
So when you're doing let's say not even a demo, let's say for real, because I'm not too familiar. Let's say you do have to play two characters. They're talking to themselves. Do they go back to back, or do you have to pause and then they press a button or something to record the other person, or what's that like?
Usually we'll record each side of the dialogue separately. So in that example I gave, which I think was for an early E3 demo from the first Mass Effect, but basically I'd do all of Shepard's lines separately, and then I would do the Solarian's lines, or vice versa. But when I was doing the second person, I'd have my performance from the first take in my cans, and I'd be able to hear it. And react myself. I wouldn't have to remember what was going on. It would just and they used the same system for in the main games and subsequent games when I was recording dialogue. If you were the very first person to record a given scene, then you'd sort of set the tone. But if you came after other people had said it, then you'd have everybody else in your headset.
Cool with it.
Yeah.
Did you imagine Mass Effect to get this big? Because it's huge, for a big following, big just everything.
It took me by surprise how well received it was. I knew it would be a good game because BioWare had always done good stuff up to that point. But I often, in interviews, I've talked about this before. The first time I realized that, I think this is really taking off, is when a guy in a really good Commander Shepard costume, with armor, with lights and the whole bit, just walked past me at a con, and it was just I had to, of course, chase him down and go, hey, I do that guy's voice. And so I was just as excited to meet him as he seemed to be to meet me, because that was an excellent costume. And subsequently, of course, I've seen the kind of effort that Mass Effect fans put into these fantastic costumes and makeup and prosthetics and puppets. It's clearly managed to find a special place in people's heart. Just from
even I have shot so many. I've shot so many people cosplay in Mass Effect, and it's still. And when did it came out? It's all this year. Everyone are still cosplaying for Mass Effect.
Well, this year is the 10th anniversary of Mass Effect 2. Actually, we just celebrated its release a couple of months ago, the anniversary, and it still seems to be going strong in a lot of people's hearts. So that's very, very gratifying to see.
How did you decide how to do Shepard's voice? Is it a person type that you're kind of thinking about? How do you come up with his voice?
Well, of course, because Commander Shepard, so Jennifer Hale and I both had the same sort of challenge. Commander Shepard is a character that can literally be almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the amount of choice they gave you in how
Yep.
Shepard reacts to things. Shepard could be anything from like a by the books, essentially Boy Scout, or just very a paladin, if you will,
Hmm.
a paragon of goodness who always does what's right, or a borderline sociopath who is still saving the galaxy but not being very polite about it at all.
It's like
Uh,
Superman and Batman.
yeah, you could, very, very much a Superman Batman thing. They're both on, Although I think full Renegade Shepard is like maybe even crossing lines that Batman wouldn't cross because he
Yeah.
certainly shoots people a lot. So
Hmm.
Batman tends not to like guns.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the challenge. So working with our directors and the folks at BioWare, we did decide that the core of the character is essentially one thing that's the same across all iterations of Shepard, not just on the Renegade Paragon
Mm.
scale, but also their background could be completely different. They could be essentially a military brat whose surviving parent is a high-ranking military officer. They could be somebody who grew up on the street, was in a street gang for a while, was a criminal and then reformed. So the one thing that is constant is that they are someone who's been in the military for a long time, and they're sort of a no-nonsense type that's
Mm.
used to giving orders and being calm under pressure. So that was sort
Mm.
of the base that we built the entire character around. And that actually changed throughout the games because
Mm.
as we went from Mass Effect to Mass Effect 2 to Mass Effect 3, especially in the third game, uh, they granted us a bit more leeway to loosen up as you see the effect that the war is having on Shepard, and it's just
Mm.
sort of breaking down their defenses, and they're allowing themselves to show a little more of the human side of themselves. So it
Mm.
was a really interesting process.
So, like, because as you said, like, if you the player choose different options, it's kind of shape the person differently.
Mhm.
So, do you actually have to be like less expressive, or like, or change the way it's just certain
It is.
dialogues?
It is, especially in the first game. Like we were noticing, and we had to go back and I had to do a bunch of line re-records because if you were leaning too much into the Paragon or Renegade, it
Mhm.
sounded like like not everyone is going to play a pure Renegade or pure Paragon game.
Mhm.
So if you're bouncing back and forth between those options, it would sound like Shepard was having like really wild mood swings, and it's kind of two different people answering depending on the line.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was one. If I ever got a note, it was always just like, okay, we're gonna have to take the emotional tone of this down a bit. And again, going back to that baseline of Shepard is a military officer and used to dealing with pressure and these kind of rough situations. But as
Mhm.
I say, as we went forward into Mass Effect 3, then we were allowed to loosen that up a little bit.
So, unlike the other game, you have one line for Mass Effect for Shepard. It's like, how long did it take you to finish like one game? It's like Mass Effect a
Months.
lot more.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
was it was months and months. I mean, if you count like the early demo stuff, I started working on Mass Effect in 2005 probably, and the game didn't drop until 2007. As I say, a
Mm.
lot of that was early prep stuff, and because before I was cast as Shepard, I was working on the Alien stuff anyway. Uh, it it did, however, get longer. The amount of dialogue, of course, just increased exponentially from game to game because you
Mhm.
had to deal with all the branching possibilities. So, for
Yeah.
example, in Mass Effect 2, I had to record scenes with characters that potentially the player might have killed in Mass
Mm.
Effect 1 that they might never see because they killed that character, but you had to cover all the options. And so it just sort of branched out further and further. And especially by the time you got to Mass Effect 3, there was just way more dialogue. And it's a very good thing that we moved from paper script. For the first game, we had paper scripts.
Uh huh.
And there were just huge, huge stacks in the recycling bin. So I don't know how many forests we would have gone through by Mass Effect 3, but fortunately by then we'd moved to just having all the lines on an iPad essentially or a tablet.
As you said, like the game, for those people who don't know, like the game actually have different option and branch out differently. Um, are there like some other games like developments that never made it into the game? So you're like, oh, this could have gone this way, and you maybe wish it was in there or something like that.
Well, there is some stuff actually in this had changed by Mass Effect 3. One of the big things with Mass Effect 3 was that there were a couple of relationship paths that opened up.
Hmm.
So male Shepard could romance Caden,
Hmm.
for example. But that had actually been the plan from Mass Effect One. It was just there was so much, and we'd actually recorded the dialogue for that
Mm,
for the male Shepard Caden romance, and then it was actually still in the game because gamers have managed to go in and on PC gamers obviously and go in and dig through the code and
mm,
pull those scenes out. And some of them I've seen them on YouTube. Like they're not actually in the game playable, but it's buried in the code. So they went in, mined it, pulled it out, and you can actually see those scenes. So the male Shepard Caden was relationship was always a plan from Mass Effect One. It's just they didn't have the time or resources to implement everything. So yeah,
mm.
there are scenes that I can think of that got we recorded dialogue for that got cut. They didn't make it into the game for whatever reason. Usually it's time crunch more than anything else. It's just there's only so many hours in the day and they only have so many people working on it. But it was good to see that they brought it in by Mass Effect 3 and that relationship actually was an option for players.
Does it feel crazy because, like, again, it's all these options, and it feels like you're just going to do a time loop over and over and over again? Because most things you voice acting is like it's a chronological timeline. It's like, okay, you go from A to B, but this like, okay, cool, A B C back to B C B A B. Like, does it feel like that?
It could, and that's why we really relied on our directors. The director I worked most with was Caroline Livingstone. I also worked with Shauna Perry at BioWare for the first game, and they were both great at being able to give us context and just go. So it's not just lines. It's okay. This is what has just happened. If you'll
Mm,
remember, we recorded this part of the scene before, so now we're going back into that scene, and that really helps. And of course, I would also credit my experience as an improviser with helping
mm-hmm.
with that aspect too, because you're able to just sort of jump right in uh, and hit the ground running, so to speak.
Because like for me, if I do that, I would feel like having some kind of mental disorder. Because like, wait, hold on, wait, I thought I just did this. Wait, no. And then especially they have different options. Like, wait, no, hold on. It feel like you're living like five different timeline at the same time.
It was a
Oh,
bit like that, but like I said, our directors did a great job
good.
at helping us understand where in the narrative things were taking place.
Are they planning to make more Mass Effect?
You know what I know. I see rumors every now and then. I don't know. I
If
mean,
they,
if I knew, I couldn't
you
tell
can't
you.
tell me
So
anyway. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. If they do remake, I mean not remake. If they make another one, would you be willing to go back in
Uh,
again?
well, I'm willing, but only under any circumstances. Of course, yeah, I would love to. But that said, this it depends on the story they want to tell. I am content that the trilogy is Shepard's story, and
Mhm.
if that is all there is, then I'm certainly content. But if they wanted to do more with Shepard, of course I would say yes. Or if they just wanted to have a bunch of Vorcha in the game, because I do a bunch of alien voices too.
Yep, yep, yep. And you have been doing, of course, Mass Effect for years, but you also have done many different stuff. As you said, you do theater, you do D&D. Um,
Mhm.
do you feel weird or like annoyed? I mean, it's kind of like I'm not sure it's a double-edged sword. Do you feel like people, when they meet you or when they see you or when they introduce you, they're like, oh, yeah, this is the guy from, he's a voice actor
Oh,
for Mass Effect. And then you're like, yes, that is what I do, but I also do many other
well,
things.
well, sure, but I mean, I think more people have played Mass Effect than came to see my improv comedy show. So, so yeah, it casts a wider net, and it's completely understandable. And I certainly have no problem being referred to as the guy who did Mass Effect, or when people book me on Cameo or whatnot. If they want a Mass Effect catchphrase, I am happy to give them a Mass Effect catchphrase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like, especially now in quarantine, a lot of actors, actress, both voice or like on screen, they do a lot of the cameo thing. How is that going along? Is it fun? Is it interesting?
Oh yeah, it's fun because there people have usually it's things like birthday messages and whatnot. Although recently somebody actually booked me to basically do a cameo in their D&D game as an NPC. So they gave me like a little thing of what he is supposed to say, and I read it out. It was lots of fun. The guy was actually or the character was a Rakshasa, so I actually went the extra mile and I had sort of like a panther mask, so I put that on. And I'm a nerd. I enjoy that kind of thing.
I like
Uh,
it because like everyone on it seem to be they can do it very easily. They don't have to seem to be too formal. They seem to be able to just do it with their phone and everything, and I think people love it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a nice way to connect with the fans. It was actually Jennifer Hale who convinced me to sign up for it. So thanks to her. Thank you, Jennifer. Uh,
What about what's the next? So I'm sure again you're a big nerd. Would
Mm.
you want to still do more like game voice acting, or is there like other plan for other stuff that you would like more to explore more other than just video games?
Well, I mean, I have done animation stuff in the past, and when you're an actor and a working actor and you have no other job, you basically take the jobs that come along. So it's like you might be doing a play one day, or a commercial the next day, or doing an audiobook, or what have you. So yeah, I'm usually up for anything. I do love live performance, which is why the pandemic is a little hard on me because
It is.
I don't get to be on stage in front of an audience, and we don't quite know when that's going to be possible again. As I was saying to you earlier, live performance theater, comedy, that's probably going to be one of the last things to come back from all of this. It's going to be a slow uphill climb.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I do love live performance the most.
Was
And
it like when you first got started? It's like, did you have to do a lot of is it hard to pick up? Because I feel like a lot of people want to do either voice acting or doing improv, or like me, I even consider doing like comedy. I'm not sure yet. Again, as you said, I'm not sure when this is gonna be over, but
mm,
I want to start writing like a at least a small stand up a little bit, and then not telling anyone about it, but just try put my foot in there, just give it a try.
well, why
But
not? Yeah.
yeah, I think I'll do it.
Yeah.
But is this a hard journey, or like how was that like starting out?
It's a very hard journey, and I'm not a stand-up myself, but I have been assured by my friends who are stand-up comedians that it's a much lonelier experience than improv, and I can see that because it is just you. I tend to perform in a two-person comedy show called Atomic Improv. We do short-form improv,
Hmm.
and we often play comedy clubs. So I hang out with stand-ups, but yeah, I don't know. As I say, it is a lonely path, the path of the stand-up comedian.
Yeah, but just, I don't know. I'll see. I mean, it's something that I want to try to do, but I don't think I'll actually go far. It's hard because like I already do so many things, right?
Mhm.
Like most people know me as a photographer, especially in the scene of cosplay as a cosplay photographer,
hmm And
and
well,
I
that's
don't.
that's how I met you. You took my
Yeah,
photo, yeah. And
yeah, yeah,
actually,
yeah,
now that I think about it, it was you and like Jessica and
yeah.
Ryan
Liana.
and Leanna and Cam. You
Hmm.
guys are the reason that I have an Instagram account.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah,
I
yeah.
resisted for so many years, and then when we were all in New Zealand together, you guys would not let up. You're just like, you got to get an Instagram. And it's like finally I think on the last day I was like, okay, I signed up. There you go.
Next
So
time you're
thanks
in
for that.
LA, let me know. We can get some photos again, because I'm not sure when
Of
I'm gonna
course.
be up in Canada. But yeah,
I don't know when any of us are going to be in each other's country because,
that's true.
of course, the border is currently closed right now.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I was talking about with some friends in the states with it. Assuming that air travel is possible again, like is the quarantine thing still going to be in effect? So will you have to have 2 weeks on either side of any trip? So you'd have to
Mm.
like if I was flying down to the states, I'd have to fly down and then have somewhere to quarantine for 2 weeks and then do
Hmm.
whatever I was doing, then fly back to Canada and then quarantine for 2 weeks in my house.
That's my
Uh,
problem right now. My
yeah.
parents wanting to go back to Hong Kong, but
hmm
then if they go back to Hong Kong, they would have to quarantine themselves for 2 weeks
Yeah.
and then do other stuff. And I mean, good thing that the hotels are really cheap right now, so they might still do it. But
There
it's
is
just,
that.
yeah, but it's just annoying though, right?
Yeah, it's true. Hotels would be a lot cheaper than they are regularly these days. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been in my house for 3 months, so or
Mm,
coming up
mm.
on 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure when's the next time cruise is even an option because you're not just stuck on a plane. Sorry, bad like 14 hours flight. You're stuck
hmm
on a plane for a long time. But on a cruise, it's like what 7 days, some of them.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's a hard time for quite a few industries.
does it change your industry in any way? Like, do you think we're gonna have some reform? Because a lot of other jobs, right? People are starting to discover remote is an option. People can
hmm
work remotely, and then they're like, oh, okay, maybe this is an possible options. But many things that you do, especially live performance, that cannot do remote.
Yeah.
But is there something that you think that would change that the industry a bit? Like, is there like self-made sound booth that make it more common now, or like what is it like?
Well, I have one of those now. Up until this point, I wasn't one of the people who had a home studio.
Mhm.
But I've got some equipment from friends, and I've been able to record some stuff. And we haven't, for example, The Long Dark, which is a video game I'm working on with Jennifer Hale, as a matter of fact.
Mm.
We put out episode updates, essentially, a bit like the old Telltale Walking Dead games and whatnot. And we just dropped a new batch of episodes. So when it comes time to record the new episodes, yes, theoretically, I could do that from my house. I could do audio and voice stuff from my house. But again,
It's not ideal.
Not ideal, but not ideal. Especially because the studios that I worked with before the pandemic, they're very close to my house, and I really like the people who run them. So I'd like to work with them again. The thing with live theater is it's a puzzling one, and it's difficult. A lot of the theater companies I've been involved with, we have been doing stuff on Zoom, and it's a different art form than live theater. As I say, we'll be experimenting a little further with that on Saturday night when I do the Improv D&D show with Colin, because up until this point, we've always done that on stage. I know that you play D&D, I've played a lot of D&D online, but this show is something that we'd always done in costume and running around on stage and acting everything out. So
it's also different,
Yeah.
Like I've been telling friends too. Like sometimes I joke about this, where I'm doing this, broadcast, this like vodcast I'm doing when I'm talking to friends. It's just mostly me wanting some human interactions, but it's still not the same as in person, kind of thing.
It's true. Yeah.
Like, I forgot my question. I was gonna ask you something about not D&D, not games. Oh yes, this is something I think I want to. So we convinced you on the Instagram thing. I think your next thing, you should also try out doing streaming, Twitch.
Some Twitch streaming. You're not the first person.
I know it's definitely not the first person. Just imagine you just playing Mass Effect. I know it's weird because it's like, you're the character, but also like I feel like you would get a lot of attraction for that.
Well, my friend DC Douglas, who plays Legion in the Mass Effect trilogy, is also the voice of Wesker in Resident Evil, and he is currently doing that. He calls it DC Douglas plays Resident Evil 3 badly. So yeah, I'm sure and DC is a very entertaining guy, so I'm sure it is a joy to watch.
Have you considered it?
Maybe. The funny thing is that despite the pandemic, I'm actually quite busy. I'm doing a lot of stuff for free, but because I'm involved in a lot of theater companies and stuff, we're doing all these sort of online things. And plus, I do have to have time for miniature painting. So, yeah.
That's cool.
So it took a while to wear me down on Instagram, so maybe I'll eventually start doing a Twitch stream. But as I say, for right now, I'm content to guest on my friends' streams. And the thing is, there's a lot of people with streams, so
that's good. I mean, as long as you're keeping yourself busy, that's a cool thing,
This is true.
Like, show me a mini. Show me that one again.
This one, okay. So this.
How long did it take you?
I take forever. I'm not a really quick painter, so I probably worked on him on and off for a couple of days. Let's see, there we are. He is from the Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures line, I believe. Oh, and then this guy, he was actually what I started with when I started my pandemic painting. Little Starspawn of Cthulhu. He's not the real Cthulhu. Cthulhu would be much bigger. He's just a Starspawn. And let's see, in reaching distance, I have I got this guy, Earth Elemental.
Awesome.
And then this is what I am in the process of painting right now.
Do you use them for your D&D as well?
Sorry?
Do you use them for your... Yeah.
I do, obviously not the online ones, because we're usually using Roll20 or something like that, where they have the computer tokens. But yeah, I've been adding to my... Or actually, rather, I'm not adding to my collection during this. I'm just finally painting all the ones that I haven't painted.
Yeah, I'm sure it took a long time. I thought about doing it, but... Here's the thing, because we met at a convention, and I go to a lot of conventions as well. So that's why I never did D&D. Like, not never, but I don't really do D&D because I feel so irresponsible if I join a campaign, especially the long ones.
Yes, very true. Well, like I said, this game campaign that I started since the pandemic, it's the first time that I've been able to be a player character in an ongoing campaign in quite a while. And we're playing twice a week, so it's like I'm getting to see those guys way more often than I would have if there hadn't been a pandemic.
Kind of ironic.
Yeah, and also they're in the UK and New Zealand, so yeah, it's They're probably the
Oh,
people I've seen the most.
what time do you guys play then? Because time zone. I
Well,
mean,
oh yeah, the time zones are hilarious. So I'm usually playing in the early afternoon for me. It's late at
mhm.
night for the guys in the UK, and our dungeon master has to get up at around 7 a.m. in New Zealand.
That's more than like a full time job. It's like, yep, yep. Sorry, honey, I have to wake up. Yeah, we're gonna play D&D. I know, I know. I'm sorry, I have to do this. So question too, like for your other theater stuff, I know as you said, like people doing Zoom now. There's different kind of structure. Is it affecting them also? Like they have to maybe are they able to survive? Like are they sustainable?
Sorry, is what sustainable?
Like are they sustainable? Like the theater themselves, because they usually rely on ticket sales, right? But
Yes.
now they're doing this. Is it like a ticket sales situation still, or like how does it work?
Well, the show that I'm doing on Saturday is with Rapid Fire Theater, and it's actually a non-profit society. So they do have a donate button, I believe. So the show is free, but they do ask. They say if you are able to donate to Rapid Fire, that'd be nice because all theater companies are really feeling the crunch across the
Yeah.
world.
Hmm.
And as I say, it's one of the hardest hit industries and will be one of the last to recover.
Yeah, and
So.
it's not like Uber Eats. You cannot just like order from from home or something.
Mm,
You know.
no, no. So people are being creative. I know some performers are doing what they call curbside shows, where basically it's like a big yard party, but everyone's in their own yard and socially distant, obviously.
Uh huh.
And they basically just come out and play music or do stand-up comedy on the curb for everybody on the street and like with a speaker system and whatnot. So we will see. I do look very forward to the day when an audience can come in and sit in the theater again and watch a show.
Huh. What's your favorite one so far? Of the show that you've done so far? Theater show.
Theater show, okay. There's one that's quite near. It's probably because I've done it most recently, but I wrote a play called Fear and Loathing and Lovecraft. As you can
Mm,
see, you saw that Cthulhu earlier. I'm a bit of a Cthulhu fan.
Lovecraft.
Yes. But this show is actually adapted from a novel called The Damned Highway
Mm.
by Brian Keene and Nick Mamatas. And it's best described as Hunter S. Thompson meets H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you've ever read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, it's written like that. The main character is quite clearly an homage to Hunter S. Thompson. And rather than going to Vegas, he goes to Lovecraft country, so to Arkham
Crazy
and
stuff.
Dunwich and yes, and Innsmouth. And so yeah, it's again the sort of weird drug fueled craziness of Hunter S. Thompson meets the insanity and cosmic horror of H.P. Lovecraft, and it's a lot of fun. So
Interesting.
I do that. That's a one-man show I do. So I play obviously the Hunter S. Thompson in it, but I also play all the other characters. And it's been, let's see, that was actually one of the last shows I did live. I did it down at Dad's Garage Theater in Atlanta.
Mm.
Great theater down there in Atlanta. Good friends of mine, and they had me down there. I did a little run of that. And I did it at fringe festivals and whatnot. I was looking forward to touring that show a bit more, and hopefully I will get the
Yeah.
chance before too long.
Hopefully, it's weird. The pandemic, like and we all know it's coming, kind of like because we've seen what happened in China and the rest of the world, and especially Italy. But then I feel like for North America, I mean, Canada is doing a great job, obviously, but
We're doing okay. We're doing okay. I know
much better.
Quebec has been sort of the center of our outbreaks, and
Hmm.
where I am in Edmonton, especially, we managed to flatten the curve early on, and we have a handful of cases. So things are slowly opening up again here, but of course you have to be careful because the virus is out there, and if you relax restrictions too much, then we're just back in the same situation, and it was all for nothing. That's it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
We can't make what we've gone through over the last few months be for nothing. We have to make it count.
It felt very sudden. Like I know we saw it coming, but I remember in March I was still at a friend's house, and then suddenly we got an email or notification that's saying, we have now decided to do shelter in place, social distancing, and just like in 1 week, within a week, everything seemed to be shut down and done. And
Yeah, it did. I mean, when it happened, obviously there were some who would go, like, yeah, it didn't happen soon enough. But when it did seem to happen very quickly. Like I was in the States at the end of February. I came back here, and within a few days of getting back to Canada, that's when they started recommending, oh, okay, quarantine yourselves for 2 weeks. And I was like, I've been home 2 weeks. Do I need to quarantine? I don't know. And then let's see. I think for me it was like March 15th or March 16th when it was just like now everything is shut down.
mhm.
And it
Yeah.
was probably similar for you as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm glad you made it home because I know some people cannot make it home. They really like stuck in the country or stuck in a different state or something like that. A lot of New Yorker I know are stuck outside from New York because they can't go back. And I mean, it might be better for them anyway, but still, it's just it's
No, of
annoying.
course, to be away from home during this. Yeah, I'm very glad that I was at home in my house when everything went down,
Yeah.
because to be on the road, and then of course there were the poor people who were stuck on cruise ships.
Mm.
There were kids that were on school trips over in Europe or overseas, and they weren't able to get home. So yeah, it's a very crazy time.
It is. But I mean, in the meantime, I guess for some people, it's good for practicing stuff. Do you have any advice actually for people that want to get into like voice acting stuff? What's the best way for them to do so?
Well, if you do what I did, just play a lot of D&D. Uh, I would seriously though, like the thing I was saying earlier about improvisation. The lessons that improv teaches you, as I said, can be applied to many aspects of different fields, and for voice acting especially, I think it's really valuable. It's a very valuable skill to have, and beyond that, the contacts that you make may lead to other things and other shows,
Good.
and also just enjoying yourself and having a good time pretending with your friends.
It's funny because a lot of my friends are nerds, like all of us. But most nerds that I know are introverts. So it's really for them to do stuff like, of course, improv or, comedy or voice acting because they're just so shy about it. So, maybe as you said, they just have to do it more and really put themselves out there and give it a try.
Improv is like anything else. It's a skill, and the more you do it, the more you learn, and the better you get at it. And I mean, like you said, like that. Well, you were saying that most of your friends who are nerdy would not like to do improv necessarily because they're introverted. But when I think of improvisers that I know, it's like almost all of them are nerds. Like they, if you had the Venn diagram of like D&D nerds and improvisers, it's just a circle. It's just a circle.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like no, like I'm an extreme extrovert, so I'm kind of annoyed that I'm stuck at home. But you know what? I'm saving someone's grandma, making sure they're not getting sick. So I guess. All right.
No,
Well,
wait. Actually, now that I think of it, it would be two circles because so a circle that says improvisers and D&D nerds, and then a smaller round ring of nerds around them. Just have to be correct on my Venn diagram.
yeah. Oh, anyway, thank you so much for being here. I had a great time. Also, where can people find you?
Well, let's see. You can book me on Cameo, of course. You can find me on Instagram, thanks to Martin
Yeah.
and other friends, at Mr. Mark Meer. That's Mr. period Mark Meer. And you can find me on Twitter at Mark_Meer. I'm afraid I do not have a unified username across my social media platforms.
You should find some way to either consolidate them or find out whoever had those. Just hunt them down.
That's true. That's all right. I'm live and let live. Oh, and I should also mention that you can watch my television show, Tiny Plastic Men. I'm one of the co-creators of it, one of the writers, and one of the stars. It's about three guys who work as prototype testers at a toy factory. And they're the guys that work in the basement, test all the toys, and all the toys that company makes are either really dangerous or very inappropriate or possessed or sentient or yeah. So it's a fun show. We got 4 seasons available on Amazon Prime in the USA, Canada, the UK, and I believe Australia and New Zealand as well.
That's great. A lot of people on Twitch that actually has Amazon Prime because they use it for Amazon or like Twitch Prime. They kind of like sell people with Amazon stuff.
That's perfect. That works out well.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
me.
Awesome. Well, yes, please everyone go check him out and follow him on Twitter and Instagram, especially Instagram because, we've decided it's supposed something he should do long ago and he finally did it.
I finally did.
But
We'll see about the Twitch streaming.
Yeah. Let me know. If you do, let me know. I'll help you along the way to set up everything. So it'll be really easy. Yeah.
Thanks, Ben. I'll as soon as I finish this huge box of unpainted miniatures, I'll get to you.
Took forever. But yeah, next time you're in LA, please let me know so we can get some food, get some photos, do some
Of
fun
course,
stuff.
Ben. Be good to
Yeah.
see you, and I'm glad to
Uh,
see you tonight.
yeah. Well, stay on this for a little bit, but everyone else that's watching, thank you so much. I'll see y'all next time. Next Tuesday. Yeah, next Tuesday. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, here at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Hopefully I can do this for a while because it's fun. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time. All right. Bye.